if it becomes this mixed bag of many things that you're kind of like trying to nudge, that has a cost. The cost is focus, and ultimately, this will cost you the success of the training initiative. Hello, my name is Christian and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Attensi. I've been with this company for over 10 years and we've delivered a lot of training initiatives. And every now and then we make some mistakes. I'm here today to share the 5 most common mistakes and what you can do in order to avoid them. The number one mistake that I see happen, unfortunately, over and over again is that there is a lack of buy-in to the training initiative from the operational leaders in the company. Very often it will be the HR or the training department that has initiated this initiative and they've been driving it forwards and they've gotten input and created a lot of content that should really resonate with the business. But when it comes to the leaders of the operations, they might not have been very involved, they have not given input to it, they have not tried the training themselves, so it becomes something that they are not really to engage with. What we see over and over again in how you can combat this is to involve them early on, let them be ambassador of the change, let them understand already from the kickoff what you're trying to do and let them guide you in the right direction of what they are looking for. And keep them updated as you're creating the training, but also let them pilot and test out the training before anyone else. It's also fantastic if they are then willing to go out and basically be an ambassador for this training afterwards and ensure that this is being done in all the layers of the organization underneath them. Very often I say success has many parents, but failure has none. And that's very often the case when it comes to these kind of things. As long as there is a success, very many wants to have an ownership around what you've been doing. So ensure that you're also giving them kudos, giving them glory when you are talking about the initiative. Point to the fact that they are behind it and that they have been giving very valuable input to make this the success it became. The second mistake I often see is that people have a tendency to believe that making an impact is about measuring the impact. And yes, measuring the impact is very important, but it's very hard to, after the fact, after you've designed the training and you're rolling it out, if you then try to see if there's some way you can measure the impact, but it wasn't really designed specifically for that, it becomes quite hard to actually see that success that you were hoping for. I always try to understand, like, what is it that we're trying to affect? What is it that people will do differently after the training? Because it's very important to remember, if there is no behavioral change after the training has no impact. Keep that in mind from the get-go. The third typical mistake I see happen quite often is that the message and the core focus you want to have in the training ends up drowning in a sea of noise. It will be typically other adjacent topics that kind of like have a little bit to do with the main topic, and you're trying to kind of like shoehorn them into the training because it feels like that would be good to also train them on. But the problem is that that kind of approach ends up having a cost, and that cost is very often higher than you believe, because the focus, the clarity, the repetition is then taking a toll, and it ends up ultimately costing you the impact the training could really have had. The fourth typical mistake I see when it comes to designing effective training is that there is a lack of difficulty. Very often there is some subjects that you want to cover and you want to cover them properly, but actually for the people who does the training, a lot of the information is things they already know, they already do, and therefore they are not really engaging with the content in the same way that they would if it was focused on something that was a bit more difficult. So ensuring that your best performers actually feel that they are getting good output, that they're learning something from this, is super important. And unless your high performers have some aha moments as part of the training will not make an impact. The fifth mistake that I often see is that people are not always using the full orchestra understanding that humans at the end of the day are social beings. And if you tap into ways of getting them to talk about the training or challenge each other or give them prizes and awards or get the leader to do the training themselves and so on, if you do these fairly simple things, that actually will make this something they talk about. And when they start talking about it, every time they talk about it, they repeat the core learning points in their head, and that will help you really manifest the training in their behaviors and in their day-to-day life. So understanding that the training doesn't live in its own isolation, it's about getting people to go into a room and do the training, but it's really about how you get them to embrace the learnings in a wider context and put that into action, put that into their own words, talk about it, reflect about it. That's often a missed trick in the book. So these are 5 of the most common mistakes I've seen. I would love if you can write the things you've seen in the comments below. I would love to read them. We are also populating this channel with more and more videos like this, so if you liked it, please hit the subscribe button and see what's coming next. Thank you.